What's up guys, my name's Brendan and welcome back to another story time. If you haven't already watched the first one, check it out up here. Let's dive right into it. Today I'm going to be talking about urban exploration, or urbex for short. And if you don't really know what that is, it's essentially just exploring abandoned buildings. Alright, let's start. So I'm gonna break up this story into two parts. The first part being how I got into urbex, and the second part being what urbex looked like as somebody that did it. Urbex started for me because I think my friends and I were just looking for other ways to entertain ourselves, kind of beyond the typical high school things that people were doing. And so I think what we thought of and what kind of came down to was just adventure and getting out and exploring things. And it started just in our hometown of San Jose, just going out and doing different hikes and different trails and seeing what we could find. And eventually my brother was like, hey, you should check out this abandoned house that I found. You should go check it out. So my friends and I were like, dude, let's do it. Let's go check it out. And so one night, it was a Friday night, we all packed up. My dad dropped us off. We couldn't drive yet. And then we hiked down this path and we get to the house. We're all looking around like, should we go in? And we were scared, but then finally one of us was like, nah, let's do it. Let's go in and hop the fence. And you go inside. The whole time you're thinking about who's been murdered there and is somebody gonna come, and you're scared because you're trespassing. Going to that first house was the first taste of urban exploration, I think, that I felt and that my friends felt. And that's where like the thirst for adventure and exploring kind of began. From there, we found this village that had a bunch of different houses and you could go into all of them, and it was kind of in the forest, so it was kind of hidden away off this dirt road. So that was like the very start of being like, whoa, this is really cool. From then on out, my friend group was really solid, and we all kind of had the same idea that we just wanted to adventure and explore as much as we can. So we started trying to push out farther about like, okay, where can we go to explore and find more abandoned buildings and find more crazy things to explore. We started going farther away from home and maybe going up to the city, going up to Oakland, going up to San Francisco. We started to find these crazy places. And when we were doing this, we noticed that this other guy was kind of doing this similar things, Andrew Levitt. We started seeing all the stuff he was posting, and he was seeing all the stuff we were posting. We started commenting and started doing that weird Instagram thing where you're like, yo, you're really cool, let's hang out, and then you kind of never do. But one day I was like, screw it, and I DM'd him. And I said, hey, let's actually hang out. The first time that Andrew and I hung out, we went to this tree house that was like 100 feet up in the air, suspended up in this tree, and we did this crazy adventure, and then we went to this abandoned mushroom factory and got chased out. And it was like the start of like not only our friendship, but I think the start of really being like adventure is something that I want in my life for like the rest of my life. Andrew is one of those people that when he does something, he does it as much as he can, and he goes to all lengths of doing that thing. So whatever it might be, he's all in and he's 100% committed. So that's what he was like with urbex. So he made this map of all the places we have been and all the places we want to go. And it just became this game about finding all these different places and then going to them. And so that was kind of the journey of getting into urban exploration. And now I want to talk about kind of what it was like to actually go and explore these places. So when you are into urbex and you're doing that, there's kind of like a multi-step process that happens to be able to do it. Usually you find or you hear about these places. So you hear about them somewhere, whether that's from a friend, from Instagram, whatever. The next step is you take the clues you can find, gather your information, and you try to find them. So you go to like Google Maps, you go and look at like weird parts about the photo of like, okay, I can see in the background a gas station and it's this company, and like maybe the dirt road looks like this, and then you take all that information and you go to Google Maps and you try to find it. And after hours of searching, you usually find it, then you go to them. So it's like a you kind of hear about it, you try to find it, and then you find it and you go to it. And for Andrew and I, we became obsessed with it. And it was like a game. It was like almost like friendly competition, trying to find the most spots. And we'd be like up all night trying to find a spot, and then somebody would finally find it and be like, oh my God, I can't believe you did it. And then the next day we'd literally wake up and go, and we'd drive up and wherever it was and we'd go and check it out. And so that summer, Andrew and I got really close because we just spent so much time like staying up all night looking for all these spots, and then the next day we'd go pack our bags, drive out and go explore them. It just became like an obsession of like finding them, and almost finding them was more exciting than going to these actual places. People always ask you like, oh, where's the spot? Where's the spot? And we always tell them, hey, like we're not trying to be mean by not telling you, but Urbex, we do think there's a lot of power in finding the spots yourself. And it's a lot more rewarding when you do all the work to find these places and then you go and you actually get to see it, rather than someone just being like, oh, here's the location, go have fun. And for the safety of the spots and to not have them get blown up and to have them, you know, still be able to go and enjoy them, if too many people start going, they get taken down, they get torn down, people start getting in trouble, etc. So it's more of like a find them and then you get to enjoy them yourself. We started finding all these crazy places and we got this map and it had like over 100 spots, and we spent like the entire summer just going to all these crazy places. I mean, we've been to like tree houses in the forest, abandoned warehouses, abandoned churches, old military bunkers, silos, literally anything you could think of, there was abandoned buildings somewhere in the Bay Area that you could go to. So it was just like the coolest thing about it, just like every spot was so unique and so different that it made it so exciting to explore. Now, once you found them, once you did all the research and you actually get to them, there was still a lot of work to do because you had to figure out how to get into these places. Some of these places were easy to get into, you know, there's a hole in the fence that you could crawl through and then you're in. But some of these places were like insanely difficult to get in, and we would spend an hour doing laps around the perimeter, looking for any entry point, looking for what's our game plan, what are we gonna try to do to get in. Sometimes you'd be climbing over fences, under fences, through holes, scaling up the sides of buildings. We've done pretty much anything you could think of to get into buildings, and that was honestly part of the fun because I just love climbing things. So like getting into these buildings was an experience of itself, and then once you get in, you get the reward of like, I just did all of that work to now be in the building, and you can just explore it and the, you know, great stuff. And once you're in it, you'll notice there's a bunch of graffiti. Now, when we first started doing it, we weren't super interested in the graffiti, and that wasn't like a main focus on why we were urbexing. But as we got into it more, you start to notice like, oh, I've seen that piece before, I've seen that person before, I've seen that symbol before, and you start to realize that there's these big artists that have their kind of name in the underground graffiti, and you can start to see all their artwork that's popping up, and you're like, whoa, I've seen this. And so we started just looking for artworks. Like we would see a piece on Instagram and be like, well, I'm gonna try to find that one piece. And it wasn't even about finding abandoned buildings anymore. It was about, I want to find this artist piece that I haven't seen yet. Some of our favorite artists, we've seen like 10 to 50 pieces of their art, and it's like you get to go and see each different artwork, and it was like this whole experience. The whole entire process from looking for the spots to getting to the spots to trying to get into the spots to being inside and then exploring kind of what's all in it, you get something exciting every step of the way. And I think that that's what made the urbex scene and the urbex part of my life so exciting, was because it was so much more than just, oh, you're going and like hanging out at an abandoned building. Of course you get an adrenaline rush too, which is always fun. You know, you get you're trespassing and you gotta be careful and you're kind of sneaking around. There were so many levels to it that made it so exciting. And on top of that, it's like, it brought me some of my best friends that I still have today. My friends that I was doing all that stuff back in high school, they're still my very best friends to this day. And I think that's because we all were so committed to just living life to the fullest and like trying to be as adventurous as we could and like doing things every weekend that were like different and fun to us. You know, not everybody's gonna be into this stuff, but to us that was what we got excitement with, and that's what bonded us so much. So, you know, I'm not saying you have to go and do this to like be cool and have good friends, but like find what other people are into, the same things that you're into as, and do those things with them, because that's how you create the good memories and the good bonds with these people. And for me and my friends, it was urbex. It opened the doors to so many aspects of my life, whether that's filming and doing videos and telling stories, because once you go to all these places, you have all these stories, and then now you're just like, I want to tell these stories, which is what I'm doing now. There's so many different ways you can tell them. You can tell them through video, through photo, through word of mouth, and I think we had so much fun with starting to tell those ideas. So with all of that being said, that's kind of how I got into urbex, and then what urbex looked like. If you are going to go out and try to urbex, I do want to say that be careful. You know, there could be hazardous buildings you could fall through, there could be other people there could be law enforcement you have to worry about. There's a lot of aspects that you do need to be careful, so just be cautious if you're going to get into it. But it is something that is very fun, and if you do it right and you do your research, it can be a lot of fun. So that is kind of my story on urbex. Thank you for listening. listening. Next story time, I'm gonna talk about the infamous box, which is an old military Air Force tower that my friends and I spent all of high school trying to get into. If you wanna hear about it, tune in next time. Thanks for watching this one. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to like and comment down below. My name is Brendan. Thanks for watching the second story time, and I will see you guys next time.